There's always going to be something. For the last 30 years I've been around the military, it's always been something around the corner. What keeps me up at night now, being 6 years out of the military, is the realization that there are a lot of people who are not okay. 6 years now, I've been to a lot of retirements and I've seen a lot of people retire. So the number 6 years ago, maybe been 2 or 3 people. And my measurement was like, oh, this person's just maybe is going through stuff. But 6 years now, I think I have enough people and enough data to say that transition from the military is becoming increasingly harder. And I think that transition from the military is lasting longer. The first generation to retire from the military in this public-facing Instagram, social media expectation world, it came to me last week. It's my generation.
Yeah. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the first episode of Two Nights and a Mic, the podcast where leadership meets life lessons, real talk meets growth, and two homies drop knowledge, laughs, and inspiration to help you level up your education, your career, and most importantly, your personal journey. Sponsored by Columbia Southern University. I'm Kay Wright, and of course, I got my boy here with me, Todd Simmons. You know, we thought what we would do first is, I know some of our listeners know who we are and know us, but we thought it'd be fun to just interview each other for the first couple of episodes. So for this first episode, I'll be interviewing Todd, so you as our audience can get to know him just a little bit better, you know, where he comes from, what he's thinking these days, and where he might be going in the future. So with that, man, let's get started. So Todd, let's go back to a conversation that we've had several times, but I think it's, you know, probably important for our audience to understand. I want to go back to education during your military time. Yeah. So I'm interested in, you know, how did you feel when you were as you were growing up in the Air Force? How did your education actually benefit you, or did it?
Yeah, man. I absolutely think, you know, I just had this conversation with someone today. I think my education benefited me in 2 ways. You know, number one, it did benefit me as an airman in the Air Force because I actually started going to school because I couldn't write a blotter in security forces. And my flight chief kept like, man, I'm be honest with you. I wish today that we had the technology to save things. Like, I wish I can show you a 1997 blotter, man, with all the red ink. I mean, honestly, I came in military and, you know, basic level writing skills was not my forte. So, you know, someone asked me, you know, my flight chief made me go take an English class so I can be better at work. And that led into a relationship with the same flight chief who actually had a master's degree in English. And you know, so I didn't even know it was one of those things at work where he was teaching me stuff at work just to write a blotter and to write reports and stuff on the security forces desk. But it was actually teaching me how to, you know, write a proper paper, how to structure verbs and all these different things. So I actually, from there, started taking classes, failed a few, and I started the education journey. So once I got, you know, I was getting out of the Air Force more than I was staying in most of my career. But once I decided to stay in, I started teaching classes like a year after I started staying after 10 years. So, you know, my education benefited me as an airman from doing work. I got a master's degree. I started teaching college classes, so it benefited my family financially. And I think it grew me working Monday through Friday or whatever shift work I was working, then going to classroom at night for the first 6 or 7 years I taught. I think it gave me growth to be around different people, gave me growth to be able to read other people's work and actually be able to write my own. So I can't say I was successful in the military because of my education. I think I was successful as a human being because I became a lifelong learner way to the left, like at 20 years old.
Yeah. So if I hear you correctly, you're saying that, you know, going to school or pursuing your education, it's not just about the degrees, but it can actually help make you a better person, a better leader, a better, you know, cop, in your case, maintainer, dental tech, you know, whatever your career field is. And I think that's, you know, the one thing that I want people to latch on to as we continue to have the discussion about education. If it ends in a terminal degree, I think that's great. But I think most of the learning is in the journey. And it sounds like that's what it was for you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It was the journey. It was absolutely like, you know, the best journey I describe it is when I develop a thirst and the mechanics of learning.
Yeah.
That's it wasn't even about a degree at that point. It was just, man, more knowledge every day. It's the same way today. Like we trade clips on Instagram all the time, or articles all the time. To me, learning is not really a structured environment. To me, at this point in my life, learning is just like bits and pieces every day to create a puzzle, man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I love the back and forth that we have sometimes with clips and articles and stuff that we share, and then having the ability to have conversations about it. I always appreciate you for that. Okay, again, I just wanted to kind of recap and make sure that our audience kind of understands that going to school, whether it's through Columbia Southern University or whatever school you choose, there's a lot more to it than the terminal degree that you earn. Let's jump into your world a little bit, man. How would you describe your life right now? If you had to describe your life right now in one word.
Chaos.
You know what? I figured that was going to be the answer. All right.
I don't have a.
Tell us more. Chaos. Why? What's that all about?
But chaos can mean something different to everyone else, right? In my house, that's my nickname in this house. My nickname is actually chaos in my family, and it's not from what you would think that the Webster's version of it. I had I can't had, but adult ADHD is a thing I tell people all the time. I'm okay with it, right? But within me, if you looked in my office right now, it would drive the average person crazy because I got things everywhere. But for me, when I say chaos, I have my hands in a lot of things. I'm working. I'm back teaching as an adjunct for Columbia Southern University. I work as an outreach for doing pathways and outreach in Columbia Southern University. I'm the founder of Courageous Leadership Alliance, which we have grown now to about 32 1099s. And we're doing leadership development, coaching in the GovCon space. And we just, partnered on a JV in a second company. So, just saying that in one deep breath will sound like a lot going on, but the chaos to me is common, to be honest with you. I won't really want to use term like organized chaos. If you gave me two words, I would say it organized chaos. But in my brain, I have to be fueled by creativity and curiosity. And if I don't have creativity and curiosity in my daily life, then it really derails me a little bit. So I don't want people to confuse that with busyness, and that it's a busyness for busy work. I'm very methodical with my time. So I may be able to give you a laundry list of things I'm doing, but I can also give you a laundry list of things I'm not doing. And I can also give you a laundry list of things that I'm uncompromising about that just don't take the place of those things that I'm listing. I think it's important for people to have those conversations that when people say, oh, you're busy doing all these things, I like to counter that with, oh, well, I'm also really bad at golf. And I golf all the time. And I also make time to go on 6 or 7 vacations with my family every year. And I make time to do all kinds of things that you don't see. But I think it's important to have a balance around busy.
Yeah, I think that's the perception that I hear from people when it comes to you, that you're super busy, and to hear you say that, and I'll use the term controlled chaos, not organized chaos, but that's how you describe your world. I think when people they see Todd Simmons on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram, on all of the social media platforms, and it seems like every day, every week, you're somewhere different, and so people kind of automatically assign busyness to your life. So I think it might be refreshing for people to hear that chaos is how you describe your world, and that's how you like it. What advice would you have to someone who's two pieces of advice? Someone who's like you, that kind of likes the chaos, but may not be able to manage it as well, and the person who is the opposite, who needs more structure and doing things, one step at a time.
Well, my only advice is you got to know who you are. And I think that's, we talked about this, it might even be the title. You got to run your own race. I do not emulate or seek to be anyone else. And I think something I embraced long ago through in the military, long ago, through not believing I fit in certain worlds sometimes. I kind of got tired of that and overwhelmed with that. And I think that the biggest breakthrough, I would say, in 49 years of being on this earth is when I develop a love for myself, and and a love what I showed up as, not what anybody else showed up as. My quirks. If anybody ever seen me public speak, I got a lot of hand movement. I move a lot. I get about 400 steps in. I'm all over the place. And in the middle of talking to you, I might look at you and go, "Hey, what was I talking about?" And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
I'm okay with me. So what I would tell somebody, if you can't figure out what's right for you in a purpose-driven life, then don't do something that you think looks cool that may be cool to do, right? And so if you're an organized structure, and that's the thing, we talk, I have in my back shop of my company, I'm the oldest person.
Mm-hmm.
And something that we have done and we routinely do is we know everybody's lane. We know everybody's lane. We know everybody's capability. And I don't have to worry about my second in charge coming to me wanting to be the CEO, because that's not what she wants to be, or that's not what her lane is. She's very valuable, very capable, but she is never going to come and be like, "Well, I can do your job," because I can't do her job and she can't do my job. But together we do something very special.
Yeah.
So
How was the process of, so you started from scratch, right? You started just you and a napkin and an idea.
yeah.
Um, how has the process of, because you talked about this team, what's been the process, man, of building not just a team, but a team that works for you, a team that's effective, a team where, everybody knows their lanes and work together?
Team building, I've had a lot of mistakes. My and my view on team building was around loyalty versus capability. I'll be honest with you. And when I say loyalty, that's not meaning that and when I say I'm the type of person, and when I say loyalty, if you come to me, which I used to be this person, something but verify, what is it?
Trust but verify, yeah.
Trust but verify. So the way I used to build a team is trust and don't verify. So I'm one of those people that, when I started out, if you came to me and said, "I can do this particular thing for you," I'm like, "Sure, let's go." And then I would find out down the road, "Oh, absolutely, you can't do that," and then it caused friction, or you were actually good intention, but you just couldn't do it to the level that maybe I envisioned. And that was all on me as the person who owns the team, right?
Mhm.
So we have went way far. So now how I build team is very methodical. It starts with the culture. I'm a person who don't like meetings. I don't like meetings. I like independent operators. I like people who can be creative and curious on their feet, who can see vision. Not only so if you're a person who needs to be in a meeting every day, or you need to have me accessible quite often, and it's nothing saying that you're a bad person. You just don't fit in this current construct of my team. And now I'm very honest about that with people's, like, this is who we are, and we're not going to change for you. So is this is how we're working, this is how we're building, the team is working. So when if another member is going to enter the team, they have to be comfortable in the culture of what we're building.
Yeah. Any challenges with? I assume that not all your team is in the DMV where you actually live. What's been challenging about managing a team remotely? I mean, we've all been doing it to some extent since COVID, but
Yeah.
any particular challenges for you?
Yeah, I'm the challenge.
Yeah, I'm the challenge. It's me.
It's me. It's not them. What I've had to learn, I think I've gotten better at. And I tell you, if you probably went back, and I just talked to a few of them this week, two of my old execs I talked to this week. If I look back of how I led when I was a command chief and with execs, man, I was not that good at giving the information, right? Like
Mhm.
I expect, so I know that about myself. But now in business, the challenge of leading a remote team is you have to make sure your intent is clear. Like your intent is clear. Because for me, I'm like a let leave people alone type thing. Like if it's let it work till it don't work.
Mhm.
But the biggest challenge I've had with remote is making sure the intent is clear, making sure the outcome that we desire, and honestly, making people understand, even if it's for CSU, the small team I have, or it's for my own business, let people know what success looked like up
Mm.
front. And not make it look like success like this lofty thing like 10 years from now. I do it in monthly or quarterly check, like, hey, in 3 months, this is what we want to achieve. And so I'm setting a left and a right, but I'm letting you kind of bake in the middle, but you know what success looks like for us.
Yeah, no, that's good, man. I think we could all benefit from having some clarity from our bosses when it comes to understanding what success is. That's something I felt like we didn't really do really well in the military. It was always kind of this puzzle of,
Yeah.
we had the puzzle box. You're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to do this,
Yeah.
you're supposed to win an award, but it was really kind of vague and cloudy on what you're supposed to do. So I'm glad you're doing that, man. What's hard about being Todd Simmons?
Man, that's a crazy question. You messing with me now because I don't like any kind of attention or accolade, which is weird because I tell people all the time, I'm an introvert. Like seriously, if you go to classified, I'm an introvert who play extrovertism on TV. Like I tell people I have an Emmy and an Oscars in extrovertism, but that is not who I am. What's hard, to be honest, real talk, what's hard, man, is it's because of that. I'm an introvert and I have some very, some characteristics that are non-compromising about me. Like I believe certain things that people should show up as, and I know they can't show up as me, but I don't want to say they're tall things. What's hard to me about the hard being me is the expectations that other people put on me that I think sometimes is unfair.
Mm. Yeah, tell me more. Tell us more about that.
So when I said it was hard is that, there's a choice that we all make, right? And even prior to retiring from the military, this is a choice I made. I was not public in the military, but I started teaching my first college class in 2005. So, this life that progressed from '05 to 2025 has been something that I've built to do. It's something I enjoyed. I hated public speaking. Absolutely. And I'll be honest with you, for all the military listeners, I told a group of people that said, I don't mind about being trans. I hated public speaking so much. I can go into a classroom with 20 people, teach for 4 hours and love it. But I was a chief for 3+ years before I ever did an ALS graduation.
Wow.
Because I didn't like public speaking.
Yeah.
And when I got to AU, no one told me, including you, that AU was a public speaking job.
Yeah, so I failed to clarify and set clear expectations.
The expectations that were going to be levied upon me. So my first senior NCO Academy graduation, I was in the bathroom sick, like sick. And I remember an instructor bringing me a ginger ale. I mean, it was bad. I was that nervous. And people won't believe that today because I don't have a problem doing it today. But I would say the expectation, the expectation that I have unlimited energy and access to give.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I feel when I used to feel guilty about not just giving unlimited access and energy.
Yeah.
And that kind of took me down, 3 years ago, my body started failing me, to be honest with you, because I didn't have a barrier.
Yeah. I think though, if we're being honest, that's part of the burden of success, right? Mm-hmm. Because if we go back to something we talked about earlier, what people see is that, man, Todd is out here. He's at this base. He's at this company. He's doing this. He's over here. He's there. Well, shoot, why can't we get him over here? Let's reach out to him and whatnot. So I think that kind of, I experienced that just a little bit in life now, but certainly when I was in the Air Force. And I think it's part of that burden of, whether it's leadership and success. But what's more important is, man, how do you manage it, right? How do you handle, being, because I know you and I have talked before, and neither of us was really good in the past about saying no.
Yeah.
We kind of felt a burden of responsibility that if the people wanted to hear Todd Simmons, if the people wanted to hear K Wright, then, we'll show up for the people because that's in our minds what we believe we existed. What's changed and how do you handle that burden now of people wanting more of your time and attention that you are willing to give? We won't say that you have to give, but that you're willing to give.
Well, there's two type of no's I want to clarify. There's those type of no's, and I think, in any profession that you're a public facing person, you have to balance the best you can to do as much as you can without compromising yourself. Because I think that's what you signed up for. That's just my personal opinion. And then there's the other no's to things that honestly may not at that moment have value to your time. And I'll just be honest, like you'll get a lot of, hey, can I talk to you and pick your brain about this? Or can I pick your brain about that? Those are two no's. So how I balance things now on the first side is just operating every day, because I have non-compromising things on my calendar that will not move.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, the golf group that we're in, I've probably not been to one or two golf tournaments because of that. There's certain things, because I had a family thing.
Yeah, well, family aside, man, you got to get your priorities together. You can't be missing no golf trips.
This is what we're talking about. The golf trip is not high enough. The golf trip is not high enough. So for me, when I got uncompromised thing, I had to start being deliberate about my time. What am I doing on the weekend? First thing, I do not travel on the weekends unless it's absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm.
I do not travel on the weekends. I do not travel more than a certain amount of days every month. Uncompromising. Will not do it. I don't care what the opportunity is. I will, and there's just certain things that I won't do. I make sure that I'm deliberate about how much time I'm gonna see my kids this year. Well, the vacations, and I try to plan things like vacations out. In October, we're going on a 2-week vacation. So I try to make sure my calendar doesn't look full of things. It looks full of life. And the life, and that's the difference. When I look at my calendar, I go, is my calendar full of life? Do I have concerts on here? Just saw the Roots last night. So, do I have the golf trip? Do I have the concerts on there? Do I have the hikes that I like to take? Every aspect that makes up my life to bring me peace, do I see it on my calendar every month? And I literally take a conscious effort when I look at my calendar and I go, what's on my calendar? If I don't see a life balance with work on my calendar, then I need to do some things to adjust that month.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's been hard for us in the past, and it's probably people out there that's struggling right now with, what we typically refer to as work-life balance. I think we at some point started calling it work-life harmony, what have you. But what about the people out there now? You're an independent, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business mogul these days, and you kind of control your own fate and your own destiny. What about the people out there that are still either serving in the military, serving in some other industry, but working a somewhat of a normal, maybe 9-to-5 job, and may not have as much control of their time and destiny as someone like you or me, who's partially retired. But what advice would you give to people in maintaining that type of balance? Like for example, man, how long you been married?
27.
27 years. Like, man, what's the key? Like, what's the key to staying married 27 years and having the level of success that you have had and that you're doing now?
I can't give you no keys. I don't have those keys.
Yeah.
So I would tell you, for me, it's always communication, and communication and balance. I would say it's never going to be 50-50 all the time. There are times when the driver's seat was with her, and there's time when the driver's seat was with me. There's times when there's things that I want to do that just doesn't fit in the plan of overall what she wants to do, and that's okay. It's just always trying to figure out what works. And for me, and I think for both of us in that aspect, we're okay with not compromising what we want, but we're okay with, this works together for the bigger picture. And the bigger picture and having dreams, I think, is important. I got married when I had no money and one TV, right? Mm-hmm. So all we did is dream. So having dreams that can be worked together, I think is important. I think it's, even if you're an individual, having dreams and I hear people, I think we don't dream enough. And, when someone says they want to start a business, for instance, when someone comes to me and say, hey, I want to start a business, my first question, which was a powerful question that somebody asked me, I said, well, how are you going to make $1 million? And really, it's like, what? No, I want you not to just, I want you to think about how you make your first million that turns into your first 10 million, or how are you going to hire 20 people in 5 years? So I don't think we dream big enough sometimes. And I think that's what's been the key for me is that we have dreamed from two A1Cs with no money to to dreaming as two staff sergeants, to dreaming as, a captain and a tech sergeant, to just keep dreaming. We still have a dream. I want to dream. I dream that I want to be in Jamaica on a beachfront house, or Belize in a beachfront house, or Nassau, Bahamas in a beachfront house. One of those areas in 5 years. That's my dream.
I think that's sound advice, man, is, be dreamers, and from a family standpoint, be dreamers together, where you can continue to grow together as a team. Same with, and I know you're passionate about helping your daughters fulfill their dreams as well. So, man, again, I applaud you for that. Hey, let's shift gears a little bit, man. Lots of stuff happening in the world today, right? I'd be interested in what's on your mind the most. What's got you reeling, or what's keeping you up at night? Any, meeny, mighty, mo. You picked the topic, and we got a lot of stuff going on right here in the United States. There's a lot of stuff going on, globally. Like, is there one thing that has you either thinking or worried or concerned about what's happening in our world today?
I'll honestly, surprising answer that you're about to get. I don't watch the news as much, but I keep myself self-aware of what's going on in the world, right? Through other channels. The world has always been dangerous. I think we just get access to it more frequently today. Now, that doesn't really keep me up at night. I think the world, being around the military now, as long as we have, there'll always be something around the corner. There's always going to be something. For the last 30 years I've been around the military, it's always been something around the corner. What keeps me up at night now, being 6 years out of the military, and I talked about this today with a friend, is, I'm a quiet observer a lot of the time. You notice when I'm in a group of people, I typically don't talk a lot. I'm a quiet observer unless it interests me. I think what's keeping me up at night is the realization that it's not a cliche, that there are a lot of people who are not okay. I think what is keeping me up at night is not just from a mental health perspective of what we talk about in the military, or, suicide rates rising. I'm going to be totally honest with you. 6 years now, I've been to a lot of retirements, and I've seen a lot of people retire. So the number 6 years ago, maybe been 2 or 3 people, and my measurement was like, oh, this person's just maybe is going through stuff. But 6 years now, I think I have enough people and enough data to say that transition from the military is becoming increasingly harder. And I think that transition from the military is lasting longer for people. It's becoming harder of identity. I think I'm the first generation to retire from the military in this public facing Instagram, social media expectation world. It came to me last week. It's my generation.
Yeah.
My generation is the first that it's not acceptable just to go get a job. You have to be something in a lot of cases. That there is what you were. And I think for me, that's what's keeping me up at night, because I'm hearing more and more conversations of people who have given so much, just like I did. And I've been down this road and given so much, and now you can't enjoy it.
Yeah. What can those of us who have already made the transition, whether you consider it successful or not, but man, what could we do? We've had several conversations about this also. What can we do to help those who may be transitioning after us, lessen, some of that burden, some of that stress that's caused by, doing something totally, the overwhelming comment that I hear is, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do because this is all I've known my entire life, right? Like all of us who spent time, whether in the military or, a 20, 30 year career. But what can we do to make transition easier for our colleagues?
I think a lot of what we are already doing, like when we were together, I was down in, and I think when we were down in Montgomery together, bringing younger people together, having real open conversations, and not just the conversations about what they see us on social media doing. I was just met with 5 or 6 folks down in Langley this week I just happened to be down there and went out that night with 5 or 6, active senior NCOs. And I think just not giving the advice, but allowing them to ask the questions.
Mm-hmm.
And then, because it's different, because, sometimes you give too much advice and it shapes a narrative that may not fit everyone.
Yeah.
For me, I think what not just me and you, I think what we need to do as, how we can help more is the reality of transitioning from the military will be adjustment because you've done this forever. But there's nothing wrong with taking time to search out your purpose if that financially meets your life space, if that's this. But and another thing is we should not be thinking about transition, which is a conversation I've been having for a decade, when you're about to retire. And also, you have to look at your career. Probably if you're at 15 years, you have to look at your career for the rest of your career, even if it's 15, as a skill-based career from that on. Like, what skills am I developing to make sure I maintain relevancy? Because me and you said, to be honest with you, you were a chief longer than me. I was a chief for 7 years and almost 7.5 years. And when I retired from the military, no one in my career field even really knew who I was. So, and there was no place at that point where security, even if I wanted to get a job as a GS employee back in security forces, I didn't have the network back in that career field at that point. I was gone for 7 years. So what skills are you continuing to develop? Because, and this is not a derogatory term, everybody can't get hired as a leader.
Right.
Indeed doesn't have enough jobs that say leader. So you have to continue to upskill yourself in a whole lot of different ways as you move through your later part of your career.
Yeah. Is the challenge, do you think the challenge though, is it skill and or lack thereof, or is it mindset?
Both. I think the mindset is a part of it, but some things you're not skilled at. I'm not skilled at being a chief financial officer, so I would never be a chief financial officer. To be honest with you, when I retired from the military, I don't feel like I was qualified to be a chief operating officer, which was a job someone was looking at me for. And I'm glad I kind of went away because I understood that job incorrectly. And for me personally, I'm not an HR person. I'm not organized. I'm not any of these things. Could I have done it and done it to the best of my ability? Probably, but I probably would not have enjoyed it. So I think we have to come to the realization of who we really are at the point of transition. And do we need more upskilling? Do we need to go this direction or this direction? Because it's not just an easy, I was this, and now the equivalency of that is going to be this on the outside. It doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, I think I agree with you fundamentally on the skill part, right? You have to have certain skills to do certain jobs. But I also think, man, that, mindset plays a huge role. One, maintaining or developing, if you don't already have a growth mindset, right? Believing that, I can actually gain some type of skill, or that I could use the skills that I already had on the outside. And I'm not just static. I'm not just, hey, I did this for 20 or 30 years and this is all I'm relegated to. And then the mindset of, really you have to, I don't say you have to fully transition, but you have to transition from the military, which I think a lot of people have trouble doing.
Yeah.
You sometimes the skills that you had in the military are helpful in a corporate nonprofit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And sometimes they're harmful. And so I think being able to transition mentally into your life is pretty important too.
A good way to transition mentally, and this is something I tell everybody now, and it's something I did too late. And I won't say too late. It's just something I've been doing the last 2 years. So the first 4 years of so it's nothing, and this might sound bad. I'm trying to make it not sound so bad. And, you need new friends, right? Because groupthink is really a big thing. Like, if you just think about it, if you transition from the military and 99.9% of your friends have been through a similar circumstances, similar career, that is an awesome network. Probably a great network for mental health people to rely on. You got similar things. It's just like going to the VFW or these different areas. You got similar things. But the earlier you can grow your network of different networks, the bigger your mindset and capability, I think, becomes. Because now I do have my group of friends that I'm military, but I also have a group of friends or networks, I won't call them friends, or networks that I walk into, and I will probably in 2 hours never talk about the military because there's no one there. So it forces my mindset to grow around conversations that I typically won't repeat every day.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the biggest ways that you can upskill yourself.
That. Hey man, you got any hidden fears? Things that people might not know about you that you might be afraid of? Spiders, heights.
Man, I'm afraid of snakes.
Public
Man, let me tell you my snake story. I can tell you this from last week. So to the listeners, we were all golfing in Phoenix, Arizona by invitation of Khalid Wright at 117 degrees last week. I don't know why I went. I questioned myself from the airport all the way to the hotel. But we were golfing in Phoenix last week. Day 3 of the golf, 4 days of golf, heat stroke, pretty much. I walk up because my partner at the time, he hit his ball on the other fairway. So I get out the cart and I'm walking, and there's bushes in between the two fairways. I walk up to this bush and all I hear was a hissing and a rattle. And I'm glad that there's no camera. So I'm about to out myself on here. Because Anthony caught you, he turned around and asked me what was wrong. I heard that the cart was about 5 feet away from me. I turned around and ran past the cart through the middle of the fairway. I didn't even get in the cart because I was scared the snake was chasing me. So I ran across the whole fairway. Man, I'm so afraid of snakes, man. My golf game is already bad, but my golf game got 10 times worse that day because if a ball went 2 centimeters near the woods, I'll take that drop, bro. I'm good. I'm not going on there. So no, but snakes for me, man, I'm really afraid of snakes. I thought I was bit by a snake as a kid, and it gave me fear. It was nighttime, and it actually was a stick that brushed my leg, and I panicked and went in the house and thought I got. But ever since then, snakes been my thing. But other than that, fears in life is, to be honest with you, the biggest fear I have, and I know you mentioned my daughters earlier. I have this reverse mindset of living life. And I don't fear mortality, but I'm actually very self-aware about it. I'm very in tune with the fact that I'm not going to be here forever, like super in tune. But my fear is time. I fear that I don't have enough time to do all the things. So I take everything as almost a sense of not panic, but urgency. So, like most people would say, oh, you got life insurance. And I do. We have life insurance and all of that things. And it's a mindset that when I'm gone, then my kids will have this. This year, I spent a lot of time with my daughters who live in Birmingham, and they're both 23 and 28, and they're both not married and no kids, but they both bought a house this year, and I helped both of them buy homes. And I sat down and thought about that. I was like, well, they can wait until I'm no longer here and get a life insurance policy, which they still will get. But I want to visualize success for me while I'm here. So I think what I fear is, and it's not really a bad fear. I fear that every day, I have to visualize success in my life because, I might not get to do that the next day. So,
yeah. No, man, I can appreciate that. What's next for you, Todd? Published author, multiple times, accomplished speaker, businessman, entrepreneur. Like, what's next for Todd Simmons?
Man, to be honest with you, like I just said, man, I'm at a point now where I think I have reached this calming peace in my life. I got to tell you, it's just like, disrupting my peace is not an option at this point. But I think what's next for me is just, I want to see my kids continue to grow. I want to grow my own relationships with the friends. I want to grow real relationships with people. I'm out of the quantity business. I'm in the quality business. I think for me, I'm looking over the next 5 years to be honest with you, I would love to continue what I'm doing in my business and with, CSU and all of these different things for the next couple of years. I recently got into not politics, but city kind of government, where I was just placed on the police the police oversight committee for my city I live in. And I think was
And you're managing a campaign for one of our
yeah. And I'm managing a campaign, and I'm a chairman of the board for a nonprofit.
yeah.
Little chaos, right? So I think in the next 4 to 5 years, I want to flip my life into full purpose. So in the next 5 years, if I can have it my way, I would love to be either at the head of a large nonprofit for a few years, or just be one of those roving philanthropists. And a part of that is in local politics. I'm really and I won't make any official announcement right now, but I'm considering a serious go at school board next year.
Oh, okay.
So just to add something else into my calendar,
Little baby Obama. All right, I got you now.
I'm in the right. Say change of circles, right? So I'm very involved here in my local community, and there's been, and I'm on it. Like I said, the mayor asked me to sit on the police oversight board. Now that has opened up a whole lot of other conversations. And one thing, and it's about passion, right? Because people be like, why school board? Why not, run for city council or mayor? You have to be aligned with what makes you get up in the morning. And for what makes me get up in the morning is seeing what education can do to change people. And that's not a cliche line for me. I know what it's done for me. I know what it's done for my family. I know what it's done for countless of people around me. So for me, at the local level, if you can give a kid a head start in education and in life, at least at those levels, I think it changes the world. So for me, I think that's where I think city council would be cool to sit up there and approve zoning laws. But I think if, actually being able to fund and fight for kids to have the best education they can, I think that's the most. So that's what's probably next for me over the next year and a half, is to continue to transition into more purpose-driven living.
You'll definitely get to use some of the skills that you've developed. Every social media clip I see of somebody going ham on a council or a board, it's not the city council, it's the school board, right? So you run for that office, man, you better get it right. Hey, what's retirement look like for you, man? Last question before I give you the floor to drop some nuggets on the audience. But when you think about retirement, right? So you've already had one successful career in the military. You're well into your second career. What does retirement look like? Take me through when you wake up every morning. And when you are retired, what are we doing?
You mean today or when?
No, because you're not retired now, right?
Oh, my vision for retirement.
Your vision for retirement, yeah.
So my vision for retirement, man, it's a dream, right? We talk about dreaming. So my vision for retirement, and we are inching toward that. My vision is to downsize, to have 2 living locations, small locations, one maybe in Florida or North Carolina and one in the Caribbean. My vision for retirement is to get up every morning, and like I said, I'm inching toward it. I do that today. Get up every morning, do some kind of either go to the gym or walk. I'm a big avid walker, and just kind of look through life every day and where I can help out. So I actually want to be someone who has enough time on the back end to be able to perfect that. So I want to.
You can be like Robert McCall, man. You be the equalizer.
Yeah. I just want to go to the coffee shop with my newspaper, I just want to, get my tea bag all together.
You drink tea just like the equalizer.
Yeah, I drink tea just like the equalizer. So I want to be like an equalizer. I want to go the small communities that's getting cheated. No, but no, but that's what retirement looks to me like, enjoying this journey that we've been on for, man, a long time, man. So I don't want to stop working. That's not the case. I just want to work in a purpose environment that just not every day. I want to go fishing. I got back in. So I'm a big fisherman when I grew up, and I got back in. I want to invite you out to some deep sea fishing. And I got back into deep sea fishing again, headed down to Key Largo here in a little bit to go fishing. So I'm starting to reclaim those things that make me feel, and then you just start inching toward it. So the retirement going to look like all the things. It ain't going to be an abrupt thing. It's going to be things I'm already doing, and then it's the things that take away from that's going to start diminishing.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. I'm happy for you, brother. I'm proud of you, like I always have been. I appreciate your friendship. I appreciate the brotherhood that we've shared over the last 10 years or so, man. And just want to say thank you for being such a great representative for all of us, and give the floor to you, man. Any last words you want to give to the audience?
Man, this being the first episode, something I want to throw out there to the audience, and we'll have, some things out on social media, but I want you to we'll throw some clips at us. Like, what do you want us to ask? Some questions. But if I was to turn something back onto the audience as closing comments, it's the first time I heard you say this, and I think we did that episode. It was about running your own race. Like, I cannot say this more serious enough, is that you have to be you. You have to enjoy what you want to do, not with anyone else. And if you're chasing anybody else's success, or you're chasing what success doesn't look like for you, you're not going to be happy in life. And whatever that looks like for you, I meet so many people every day, and success to them looks 100 different ways in people you meet. So I would tell you, if I was to throw something, take the time to grow, take the time to smile, take the time to laugh, take the time to find people who follow those simple values about loyalty, peace, and just don't take life so doggone serious. So, that's the last thing. I'm very accessible. I'm so, you can, and I tell people all the time, anybody, if you hit me up on any social media, it's not a robot, it's not an exec, I'm going to respond.
You got bots?
I don't have bots on the social media yet. I got bots.
Look, you got to be careful, because Todd will fool you, man. His stuff is so good. His graphics and stuff are so good. He had a graphic a year or so ago with an 18-wheeler, and I had somebody call me and was like, "Man, I didn't know Todd had a truck. He had an 18-wheeler."
I was like, "What?"
So you better if you reach out to him, and you never know what you're gonna get. It might be a bot. It might be one of those things like.
Nah, it's me. I can't guarantee you I will respond in the same 12 hours anymore, because, but I will get back to you in 48 hours or less. But no, with that, hey, we want your feedback. We want you to, throw tough topics at us. And we look forward to continuing this journey with y'all. So, these conversations matter. If y'all took one nugget away from it, cool. Respond to it on social media. If you didn't, and say y'all ain't answer no questions, y'all didn't give me nothing, then give us the fire on that too. And we'll come back and we'll correct that. That's all I got.
All right. Well, thanks, brother, man. Appreciate it. I know that's something that people can use. Hopefully, you guys have gotten to know Todd just a little bit more, since we'll be co-hosting this show from this point forward. Again, this podcast is Two Nights and a Mic, sponsored by Columbia Southern University. And man, we're really looking forward to providing some real content that you'll be able to use. So thank you all once again. We'll see you on the next episode. Welcome to Two Nights and a Mic, the podcast where leadership meets life lessons, real talk meets growth, and two former Air Force leaders.
Make it yours, man. You can change it to whatever you want.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to Two Nights and a Mic, the podcast where leadership meets life lessons, real talk meets growth, and two homies. All right. Welcome to Two Nights and a Mic,